Thank you, everyone, for joining. I'm Jason Kornweiss, Senior Vice President of our media practice at Diversified. And I have two wonderful guests from Comcast. Kyle, if you want to introduce yourself.
Yes, Kyle Eichmann, Director of Sports Management Solutions for Comcast Sports 360.
That's it. And I'm Bart Spriester, Senior Vice President, General Manager, Streaming, Broadcast, and Advertising Business.
Excellent. So thank you guys for being here. A lot going on at the show. Lots of things to discuss today around the Flyers, Comcast, new technology, and some things that Diversified and Comcast are doing together. So let's get right into it. Sports 360, Comcast Sports 360. It's an amoeba of moving things, right? It's products and solutions. Talk about what the application is.
I like amoeba of things. That's so
I made that up.
I was gonna say I'm gonna steal that from you when we start talking about it. So Comcast Sports 360. If you think about what the Comcast enterprise does on the broadcast side, I mean, I don't think anybody does it any better. And we have a lot of sport properties. So Comcast Sports 360 is kind of two things. It's taking all of our tech that we run our business with, marrying it with best of breed partner networks to create the ability to build out fandom and put the team or the league at the epicenter of that. And I stole that from somebody else too. But so think anything you want to do with the fan, whether they're in venue, out of venue, in season, out of season, however you want to touch them on every surface. The idea is we've given them that ecosystem to do that.
Got it. Makes sense. And so we're going to talk a lot about, so the Flyers are in the playoffs.
Yep.
So congratulations there. So we were going to have some representation from the team. They're busy, which is great. Right? So go Flyers. But we're going to talk about how your technology stack is improving the fan experience, going to game, but also not going to the game and enjoying the experience. So I'm going to stick to my notes so we make sure we cover everything. Okay. So first question is really, how do you think about engaging fans that have never been to a game? They haven't been there in person. They either can't afford the ticket prices or they just couldn't get a ticket. How do you engage them?
So I think with the Flyers specifically, kind of the entry point is the app. If you look at teams on the app side, typically everything they build is for in-venue experiences. And the idea on their app is to create a tool or a mechanism to engage people everywhere, whether it's video content, highlights, stats, player info, whatever it is. So it's building a vehicle, and you want to turn it into a 365 type of an experience. And if you look at leagues and markets, in venue and people that go to game are a very, very small percentage of your fan base, right? So you've got to be much, much more strategic and very, very good at figuring out how to bring them into your fandom, into whatever you want to do.
Perfect segue. Stateside Live and the broader sports complex and extending that connection beyond game day, right? You want to get fans to the arena, you want to keep them there, you want to have them enjoy, but it's not just the game in the arena, as you just pointed out, right? And it's not just being at home. There's other components that come with that. How do you expand that connective tissue?
So I'll pull from something that I did a few years ago. So I was with the Sacramento Kings when we built Golden One Center. And if you look at Golden One Center, it was the centerpiece of a retail district. So we had the retail mall, we had a hotel and everything. And the directive or the vision was you want your app to be the remote control for everything. So when somebody hits your retail entertainment district or whatever it is, there's one tool that gives them access across everything. So that's how you kind of take it from in venue, out of venue, and then it goes further, right? Because now I've got the app, I engage with you in the entertainment district, and when I go home, I'm still using the app for all these other great things that you do.
Got it. Within the Sports 360 environment, it's a set of tools and applications. How do you engage a sports team, sports league with that type of an application, right? How do you start the journey? If I'm a team owner and I own a team and I want to understand what you guys are bringing to market, how did the journey with the Flyers begin?
So it's I think with them, it's a couple of things, right? There's a new venue coming down the road.
Yep.
And when you start talking about venue design and construction, the fans have to be at the center of that. So I think their wish was to give them a tool that would help them understand the fans better. And those kind of scenarios are going to change, right? If you, depending upon what the ownership vision is or whatever, you start with, it sounds corny, right? But you start with the strategy. Like, what do you want to do if budget was no issue, or what is your grand vision, and how can we get there and give you some things? And it's always the quick win thing, right? Like, what do I find that I can do now that kind of starts that journey?
And I think with the Flyers, it was about in-venue experience as well as out-of-venue experience. So they had a roadmap to transform that from what they currently did, or they did before. And, we met them there.
So what you're really describing, much like the device in every one of our pockets, right, is we're using data to drive decisions every single day. In the media space, with the proliferation of AI, proliferation of data-driven automation in every direction, right?
Right.
Both behind the camera and even in studio. Data is the key of all of this. Clearly, data has been the foundation of a lot of what this has created. Talk a little bit about, data is an enormous pool of everything, right? Yeah. And you have to figure out which parts of the data are going to be the most meaningful to drive your applications. You talk about the data side a little bit, because that's really driving a lot of the decisions.
So think teams and leagues are traditionally devoid of first-party data. You can go back and talk about ticket contracts and all those things and where that data sets. So building something that pulls everything into data layer, data lake, whatever a fancy term you want to use, that's central to everything we do, because once you have the data in there, then you can do things like, a fan is consuming video highlight A. I know who they are, what they do, what their likes are. So now I'm consuming a video that was custom to them, and now there's an ad overlay or a buy button or whatever it is, and it's down to the individual level.
Sure.
And you can't do any of that if you don't have data.
Sure.
And what's happened is AI, used the right way, just accelerates all that, right? And you can be much, much more nimble, because everything in sports is live moments, right?
Yeah.
So if you can't action on it right then, you miss the moment.
Yep.
So when the journey with the Flyers, when we started with them, it wasn't about look, feel, the rails of the app or all this. It was about the data. They want to own it. They want to have first-party data. They want to be able to upsell with the data. They want to monetize it. And that's how the journey started. And then you build all the other components around it, which is very unusual for any sports team historically to start with data.
So you've gotten a lot of opportunities now you have access to the data.
Yeah.
And you can make decisions by using the data. What's been the biggest aha? Right? You got this enormous data pool. What's been the biggest, holy cow, we can now do this thing. We've never been able to do it before, and it's a game changer. We changed every experience about consuming this event.
I have one, Kyle. Do you have one?
I was going to say, while I'm thinking, you go ahead.
Okay. So when you engage with the Flyers app, and it's Ticketmaster through there or wayfinding or anything, it automatically updates all that information to the Flyers' own CRM instance. So they not quite, but close to real time. They know exactly what every one of their core fan base is doing in and outside of the stadium. And that's kind of unheard of. So that's surprising. I don't know. That was
mine. No, that's good.
Kyle, you got to top that.
Yeah.
Okay. So when they playoff run, we just launched vertical video in the app.
Okay.
Which is super cool. So now everything they watch, they see via a vertical video placement in there, and the uptick or the usage on that versus more traditional highlights, 8-9x. So people want that content. I mean, think about, everybody uses their phone. Well, now I get to see everything full screen whenever I want.
So that's the big difference, is the resolution. Take me through vertical video. I have the image of Instagram and sourcing Instagram videos. Is it like an Instagram type integration within the app? Is that kind of how we should
That's exactly
think
right.
about it? Okay.
So
it was a good guess. I've never.
Well, it originally started with TikTok, right?
Yeah.
A few years ago. And we all know that we can get trapped inside of an app.
Doom scrolling.
Right. The sports teams don't call it that. But it's like a doom scrolling.
Sure.
And drives engagement up materially, 8x times. So it's a big deal. but you have to, it's not only just a formatting of video, but you have to produce it in such a way with the right graphics, et cetera, on it. So it's a, compelling experience.
So do you have any other teams or leagues that you can talk about that are on the application or coming to the application that are public?
None that we can talk about publicly, but
Okay.
watch this space. There's a lot of
Cool.
people interested in it.
That's great.
Yeah.
Love that. Very exciting.
Yeah.
So we'll pivot a little bit and let's just talk about the very quiet world of sports and media rights and distribution. Because there's no press going on about that.
Right.
There's nothing happening. The RSN market is solid and everybody owns their own rights, right? So Comcast is obviously an entity that covers multiple things.
Right.
Right? You're a cable provider / MSO. You're direct to consumer. You're a warehouse of all this data. You have products and applications. This has got to be transforming your business in a way that's moving faster probably than your business ever expected it to be. Talk a little bit about what does that mean for Comcast and you sitting on top of this organization, having to pivot your entire enterprise to be able to accommodate all these league changes every day?
Yeah, I think so rights are complicated and distributed and probably will get more complicated and distributed. So key for us is we always think of the consumer first. So how is a consumer going to find the game, find the data, and get pivoted around? So I would say we start with all that, and then we work our way kind of upstream to the game and the rights and the teams and stuff. But I don't know.
Yeah, no, I think that's fair, and it's going to get worse before it gets better.
Yeah.
And I think if you look at being at so everybody now is saying, I don't want to give away my crown jewels anymore. I want to keep that content and do with it what I want. So they're out there searching for that, and they don't have that expertise. And there's very few, fortunately for us, there's very few organizations that can do that. I mean, we can snap somebody up and get them running in 30 days.
Yeah.
Some of the stuff we did on the other side. So
From a linear and non-linear digital.
exactly.
I mean,
The full digital experience.
Full digital experience. And that's the promise of Sports 360. Comcast Sports 360 is we take in their content, we treat it as valuable as it is, but we can do the linear side, we can do the digital side, we can do the fan engagement side, we can do all that, and makes it easier in a complicated world.
and it's like the vertical video, right? That's like a core competency, right? Like
Sure.
most people can't pay. Like, oh, we're going to do that and drop it in an app.
Sure.
Right. But you look at what we do across our ecosystem with Xfinity Stream or Peacock or whatever. I mean, that's core table stakes for us.
You're leading on, you guys are a video company at your core, right?
Yeah.
You understand how consumers want to see content.
Yeah.
And you're, you're exploiting that knowledge
That's right.
with all these applications every day.
Well, across the enterprise, not only from Comcast, CTS, but also Sky Sports, NBC Sports.
How does that translate into, there's got to be revenue opportunities now that you haven't had before, now that you have the data, the technology, changing in rights? Is it a significant revenue adjustment? Has your sales team had to pivot a little bit and dance and say?
Yeah, materially.
Materially.
Yeah, there's great revenue opportunities once we go back to the data set and utilizing that and monetizing it. Were great revenue opportunities.
On the other side of that, this is a new space and some organizations are not harnessing this.
Correct.
What separates apart an organization that is against one that is not? Where's some black and white areas of organizations that are just not using effectively the data? They're putting the game on television and on the app, the end, right? Where do you see the biggest differentiators in those organizations?
Well, you
Is
came
it
from
viewing
the
experience? Is it?
the team side, so
Yeah. I mean, right, wrong, and different, it goes back to ownership, right? And if you have, let's call a legacy ownership. So somebody that's been involved in sports for a long time typically adopt the old business model. They don't want to change. And what's changing now is if you look at private money, VC and everything going in, all the leagues and everything are saying, oh, instead of you taking a 2% chunk, you can take a 5%, 10%, whatever it is. You get private money into those things or equity money, and they expect profitability and things to be driven. So it goes back to the business case. I just bought this asset. I want this asset to perform.
Sure.
So it's no longer a a trinket on the counter or a showpiece. It's we need to make money, and how do you make money?
We know a little bit about that.
Yeah,
Diversify.
Yeah, right. Yeah, exactly. Right.
Yeah, we're an equity-backed companies.
Yeah.
Okay. Personalization using AI with data and integrating into the fan experience. How do you see that continuing to evolve, right? Everybody talks about AI, and then tomorrow there's a better solution than today, and they all just keep reinventing themselves. How is that pushing the velocity and the experience in this space using the AI data analytics technology?
Automation. Most of the, if you look at things like video clipping, highlights, all that stuff, it's typically a coordinator or somebody sitting in the back room doing it as quickly as they can. You build the right algorithms, you bring the right AI into it, and you automate everything. So now imagine I build my program, I build my campaign, and that content is distributed almost as quickly as it happens.
So now those folks are not tied up with doing the mechanics. So now you can double, triple, quadruple your content volume.
Right, exactly.
With the tools that they're using.
And remember, that's really important too, because again, pro sports is live moment stitched together.
Yep.
You miss it, you miss it.
Yeah.
Right. And everybody, and I think this day and age, like with the mobile devices, everybody wants it right then.
Yep.
Why do I have to wait 30 seconds? Why do I have to wait 45 seconds?
Yeah.
Give it to me.
We're very impatient world.
Yeah, exactly.
That's the technology.
And it's AI automation, I think, is the biggest thing. Okay, you're right. Everybody uses AI and we do AI. Well, really, what do you do? Right? And it's like, to me, it's automation.
Yeah. Okay. Anything to add there, Bart?
Yeah, we say YOLO. So we say YOLO, which is not you only live once, but you're only live once. And that's how our mindset of everything we do.
Yeah. You don't want to miss that critical shot. That change. You don't want to ever miss a second of the Super Bowl. You don't want to miss any game by action. Right. So let's pull back a little bit from the in-venue experience and the fan experience to there's a business in Denver, Colorado that's the core of what you do at CTS. And there's an operation there that is evolving. Top level, talk about that a little bit. Why is it evolving?
It's Comcast Sports Hub, and we run all our sports operations out of there. So distributing content, manipulating content, and getting it out to the world. It's probably the world's largest or most complete connected facility for media and entertainment around the world, on the same vein as like BT Tower. So what we do there is we have a bunch of sports experts, and they really bring the Comcast Sports 360 to life, whether it's on the digital side, the linear side, with MLB, NBA, NHL, etc. So it's a pretty state-of-the-art facility. We've Diversified has helped build it out for us and make it probably one of the top media and entertainment facilities here when we get done in the country.
And 2025 was unique for your facility.
Yeah.
Right? A lot has happened. You're at an inflection point in your business. You've done some interesting things since you've been leading CTS. Yeah. That's really, that facility, which has been around for a while, was pretty stationary for a bit, right? You had your core customers.
Yeah, right.
But there wasn't this accelerated growth that you are going through now. Why is that happening? What's going on in the markets right now?
Well, a lot of it is disruption of the RSNs, and the teams have to get out their content to their fans, and we help them do that. And we help them ride on the Comcast infrastructure. So, we own a fiber company with Comcast Business. We have rights deals with some of the companies or some of the leagues as well. So we leverage all of that and bring that into, I would say, the goodness of our Denver facility, and have made, hundreds of thousands of square feet of improvement to the facility.
Sure.
All in the spirit of sports.
Great. So I have to talk about Diversified a little bit.
Yeah.
My bosses are all right here.
Great partner.
Talk about the partnership with us. We've been actually partners for over a decade.
Yeah.
At various portions within Comcast, NBC Universal, and stations and network and sports. Our partnerships expanded into CTS. How have we helped you? What has been better with the partnership. We had some press hit the street last week about it, and we appreciate that. Thank you very much. Talk a little bit about what Diversified has done to be so important to your business.
Yeah, it's really velocity is the key one, and knowledge. So underpinning all of that is trust. So we can, as an organization, we called Diversified, and we said the certain season, Formula One season, baseball season, basketball season, not going to change. We need to be on air at this date. How fast can we go? And that's what Diversified did. And that's a velocity that we, even as a large Fortune 50 company, did not have in that expertise. And like I said, the knowledge that you brought to some bleeding edge technology was quite helpful too, and allowed us to not only get on air, but frankly, make our customers happy, which are a lot of the sports teams. So we do appreciate it.
Yeah, no, and I think for context, I'm just sitting here thinking about the first call in like December of 24.
Yeah.
I think we did 7 or 8 individual projects in 2025 that is now, we're all kind of taking a breath and getting out of that. A lot happened in a very short amount of time.
Yeah, a lot happened. I mean, we spent millions of dollars building the infrastructure.
Sure.
And we're proud to say you guys were a partner for us, and helped us meet all the timelines with a good solution. So,
well, we want you to
really
keep winning,
right,
so that we can keep winning together. That's
same here.
That's the one. Anything else we want to cover on CTS and what you guys have going on at NAD and things that people should really pay attention to? Because this is your infomercial.
Yeah, exactly. No, I think if you're in sports, you want to be in sports, you want to learn about Sports 360, we're here to chat.
Awesome. Yeah, that's great. Thank you.
Kyle and Mark, thank you so much.
Awesome. Thank you very much.
Appreciate the time today. Thank you, everybody.